diamond. She's a diamond girl. She's a diamond. Diamond, diamond, diamond.
Hi YouTube, it's Princess Diamond. Welcome back to my channel. So boho braids have been the style of the summer. We're doing them yet again. This time around we're doing bohemian braids using only human hair, so we're not going to be using any braiding hair for this style. The hair that I'll be working with is from YWigs. They sent me 3 bundles of their Burmese Spanish curl 100% human hair, and each bundle has about, I think it's 100 grams of hair, and the bundles have no weft, so you don't have to worry about cutting it. So this is how it came straight out of the package. I did no cutting, did not have to cut this hair at all. I really like how it's long for one, and it comes full from root to end, and it does not taper. So since you're not cutting these off of the weft, you don't have to worry about wasting so much of this hair. Y'all know, like with this human hair, it could cost you a good little penny, and so we don't want to be wasteful. Another thing that I'm going to say right off the bat is this hair was super soft. This has got to be the softest human hair that I've worked with by far. So far what you're seeing right now is 1 bundle of hair used, so you can see how much you really get in just 1 bundle. And then I'm going to show you guys how I kind of prep the hair to get it ready. They come in like these little clumps together. It makes it easy, so I kind of try to just work with, a couple clumps at a time. So you see that piece that I'm pulling off right there is just, I just call it a little clump. So I'm putting 2 together, and I mean, you can work with, as many as you feel comfortable, but what I'm doing is just placing the product, so the Shine and Jam, on the blunt ends of it, and that's just going to help it to stay together as I am separating each piece and getting it prepared. So that way you're not really losing out on a lot of hair. Literally did not have to worry about wasting any of this hair. And this is the amount that I am using for each section that I'm going to be adding to the braids. So I just wanted to show you guys the size of the pieces that I'll be adding in, and I pretty much use the same size for when I'm doing the braids as well as when I'm leaving the curly pieces out, and then also just showing you guys how full it is from root to end. You guys, if you're looking for human hair to do your boho braids, I highly recommend this company. And then this is how I just prep the hair on my hair rack. There's really no simple way of doing it. Y'all know I don't really like using a hair rack, but gonna have to just work with it, do what we gotta do. The 2 products that I'm working with on my wrist there is Shine and Jam in the orange container and Lock and Twist Gel. Those 2 have been my go-to for doing braids for the last, I don't know how long now, so y'all should already know that by now. I use the Shine and Jam for parting, and I use the Lock and Twist Gel for the hair towards the root. So since I'm not using any braiding hair, I wanted to show you guys how I am adding in the human hair. Instead of picking up the hair in the center, I'm going to really add it in towards the top where the blunt ends are. So you guys can see, okay, you see the top of where that blunt end is, it's about a couple inches. So I'm not adding it in the center. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I'm going to just feed it in as normal. I think I did 3 pieces to feed in just to do the knotless braid part. And pay attention to how you're adding it in. Just make sure your blunt ends are being added in the same direction, because you want to make sure you have a good length of the human hair just to braid down all the way. So I did 3 pieces because now I have a good length of 3 strands to braid down. This is basically going to be like my braiding hair. And then I'm going to now add in more pieces, and this is going to be just for the curly hair that's going to be left out. With this hair being longer, you can definitely braid down a little bit more if you need to. But this is the amount that I'm braiding down, and then I just leave the curly pieces out. I started with doing about 4 pieces, so 4 curly pieces within in the braid. And then as I got higher to the top of her head, I started doing 5 just to make it a little bit more fuller. So right in this part, this braid specifically has 4 pieces throughout the braid. I showed you guys about how long the distance is between each curly piece that I'm leaving out. For help with exactly how to add in these pieces of curly hair, check out this video. I'll show you a more slowed in-depth tutorial on how to add in the pieces and leave it out when you're doing this boho look. So definitely check out that video. So here I'm adding some more pieces and I'm just braiding these within the braid and not keeping them out because I just want to add a little bit more length to these braids. So this is just depending on how long you want your braid to be. So then once I add, I think like just a couple, 1 or 2 pieces to have a little bit more hair to work with while I'm braiding down, then I'll go back into just adding the pieces of the curly hair and leaving them out. So I'm sure you guys can tell with these blunt ends, they tend to stick out of the braids. So when we have those, you can just clip them with scissors. So just be careful not to clip your client's hair, of course. You should only be clipping the blunt ends that are sticking straight out of the braids. And then for the ends, I don't braid it all the way down. I leave a little bit and I just take a tiny little piece and knot it up a couple times just to make sure it's secure and won't unravel right there at the ends. And that is it for the braid. And then here's a visual of about how far each curly piece is from each other. You can see how many pieces I put, and then you can see the very ends. I think after this row is when I started doing 5 pieces within each braid. If you want an in-depth tutorial on parting, be sure to check out this video. I'll go more in depth on how I did parting like this. So the only thing I did pretty much different in the top row towards the front of her head is just the way I added in the curly hair, just so that way it would naturally fall towards the front of her face. I wanted to make sure I added in, for one, closer to the root, and then also added it in on the left side, again, just so that way it would fall naturally. It would naturally fall towards the front of her head rather than falling towards the back, because I am right-handed, so I normally would pick up the hair, the pieces of hair with my right hand, but you see right there I'm adding it in on the left side, because then when that hair falls down, it's just going to fall naturally towards the front of her head. Hopefully that makes sense. But then also, like I said, I like to make sure that I added it in closer to the root rather than braiding it 1 or 2 inches and then adding it in. Other than that, all of the other pieces were added in as normal. Like I had already explained, when I got pretty much to about halfway up her head is when I started adding in 5 pieces, or leaving out 5 pieces of the curly head rather than 4 pieces. And you guys will see how that looks like in a little bit. So these are 5 pieces that were left out within the braids, and then you'll see the ends that were left curly. These came out really nice and full. When I was done, I just clipped the ends a little bit, and then I'm going to style it a couple different ways for you guys to see. And we did use all 3 bundles. We only had just a little bit of the very last bundle left over, so I was surprised to see that this little bit of hair went a long way, especially since we didn't use any braiding hair. This is all human hair. The hair was super soft. My client could not keep her hands off of it. She kept touching it and just kept commenting on how soft the hair is. Like I said, by far my favorite that I've used so far, so I would highly recommend it. The link to this hair will be down in the description if you guys are interested. This is human hair, you guys, so you can put any type of product in it. I like to use leave-in conditioner or mousse if you're wanting to maintain these curls. And instead of dipping the hair, I went ahead and just steamed the hair, so you guys will see me steam it a little later and then see how it looks as the final result. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is what it's looking like so far, and if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. I hope you guys be blessed, stay protected, and stay filled with love and peace.